Okay, today I'm gonna talk about the prolongations of the meninges over the roots of the trunk of spinal nerve and trunk of spinal nerve. Okay, and to start, first, let me see what I'm gonna talk. Okay, something that you know. Let me just first thing. First thing that I want to do is mark the parts here that are relevant for the understanding of this structure in specific. Okay, let me just do this right now. And okay, the first one will be this one, and this one we're gonna call pia mater. If you didn't watch my last video, is on my YouTube channel, and that I talked about the pia mater, and yeah, it's much more complete than it will be much more complete than this one. Okay, this is the pia mater. Okay, this is representing the pia mater. Now, what else? Okay, this, let me just label this part here. This is representing the pia mater. Pia mater. If you heard a weird sound, it was my mouth. Okay, sometimes I do these things. Okay, the second part here. This one is actually the sheet of pia mater around the dorsal root and the ventral, the dorsal and the ventral root. Okay, so let me do this. This one is the sheath. I hope you can see. Sheath of pia mater. Pia mater. The sheath of pia mater around the dorsal root. Around the dorsal root. I hope you can see it, guys. Okay, the first one, pia mater, this part here extending towards the dorsal and the ventral root of it's just a sheet. Okay, this is actually this is on the ventral part, not the dorsal one. This one is the ventral one. Okay, and then we have this structure here, and this one is the arachnoid mater. Okay, this one is the arachnoid mater, and we have the dura mater right here. Dura mater and arachnoid mater. This one, dura mater, and this one, arachnoid. I also talked about these structures in 2 other videos that are also on my YouTube channel. Arachnoid mater. Okay, so we have here a layer that will be more the outermost layer. Okay, so let me just complete this part here. Okay, so and then I'm gonna draw this all the way up here, and this one here. And at this point you should know the name of this structure. But because I'm a nice guy, I got a label for you. Okay, so let me just finish this part here. Okay, and then I'm gonna label this part here, which is this one is the dorsal root ganglion, and the dorsal root ganglion will be surrounded by 3 meninges. Okay, let me just where here, yes, here. This is the dorsal root ganglion. And if you are still not following me, if you can do this now, it will be helpful. Okay, so we have the dorsal root ganglion, and we have here this part right here is the trunk of spinal nerve. This one. Trunk of spinal nerve. And this part right here, let me just here, this one is the neurolemal sheath of the nerve. So how are we going to write this here, because we don't have enough space? Okay, so neurolemal sheath of the nerve, and here we have the subarachnoid space. Let me just write. This area is basically the subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space. And if you didn't get the video from the beginning, no worries, you can watch this video later on my YouTube channel. Subarachnoid space. Okay, so we have these structures labeled here, and then let me just finish adding this part here. Okay, and what else I can do here? Okay, I think that this is enough. subarachnoid space. How can I mark this? The subarachnoid space. Here is the subarachnoid space as well, okay? So I'm gonna do the same. Okay, all this area here is formed by the subarachnoid space. Subarachnoid space. Okay, all this area. And then what I'm gonna do, just add a few, just add a color here to distinguish this part from the rest. And I believe that will be visually better to understand. Okay, so what else I have for you here? So as I mentioned before, let me just do this. As I mentioned before, pia mater, this one here, pia mater is the innermost layer of the meninges, and as you at this point should know that it will adhere close to the surface of the spinal cord and spinal nerve roots. And inflammation or infection of the pia mater usually leads to meningitis, especially PO meningitis, which may cause severe pain along the course of the affected nerve roots. Okay, let's say nerve root between T7, T8, which will be the one, the nerve roots coming off from the T7, T8. It's also involved in the formation of the neurofibromas or other tumors that usually compress adjacent neural structures, causing pain in other parts, so that are related directly with the area affected. Now, the sheath of pia mater, let me show you. This one here, we have the ventral and we have the dorsal. This sheet provides additional protection to either both either dorsal and ventral root dorsal and ventral root. Of course, that on the dorsal root we have the ganglion, so the ganglion will be also protected, and sensory fibers as they exit the spinal cord. And clinically, compression or irritation of this region cause radiculopathy, which is characterized by pain, numbness, or weakness in the distribution of the affected nerve root. Okay, again, if the nerve root is coming off from T7, T8, the areas, the sensory and motor areas related with this nerve will be affected. Now, some conditions like herniated discs or spinal stenosis can impinge on this area, leading to radicular symptoms as well. What else? We have then the arachnoid. Where is the arachnoid? Here. The arachnoid one is in dot lines. Better? I think that's better. Okay, arachnoid mater lies between the pia and the dura mater, as you probably know, and it contains the subarachnoid space, which is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Now, blockage or disruption of the cerebrospinal fluid within the subarachnoid space usually leads to hydroencephalus or communicating hydrocephalus, which are conditions that I can talk later in another video. And tears in the arachnoid membrane can usually result in subdural hematoma or subarachnoid hemorrhage. depending on the location and severity. Now the dura mater, which is here, the dura mater here, is the outermost and the toughest layer of the meninges, and is the one that provides robust protection to the central nervous system. Usually pathologies such as epidural hematomas occur when blood accumulates between the dura mater and the skull or vertebra. The continuity of the dura mater with the epineuron outside, which is what else? I didn't put here, but it is this part here. Okay, this part here, because I didn't have enough space to write it down. And okay, so I completely forgot what I was talking. Okay, I was talking about the epineuron. Yeah, the continuity of the dura mater with the epineuron outside the intervertebral foramen ensures structural integrity, but can also transmit infections or inflammation from one compartment to another. Talking about compartments, we have so many things that are interesting related with compartments, compartments of the hand, compartments of the stomach. Yeah, so many interesting things. Now, a dorsal root ganglion, this part right here. You probably know that this part contains cell bodies of sensory neurons that relay sensory information from the periphery to the spinal cord. Clinically, if you think about the structure damage or compression, for example, of the dorsal root ganglion, usually can lead to sensory deficits in the dermatomal distribution of the affected nerve. And I will say that conditions like herpes zoster often affect the dorsal root ganglion, and it can cause intense pain and vesicular rash along the corresponding dermatom, which is something that you can have a better view if you look on internet and look for images showing this condition. Maybe in the future I can, when I talk about specific conditions, I can illustrate it here and maybe add my touch to the images that we can find on internet. What else? Well, we have the trunk of spinal nerve, which is this part right here, and the trunk of spinal nerve, the main body, which is the main body of the spinal nerve, is formed by the union of the dorsal and the ventral roots and carries both sensory and motor information. Now, entrapment or injury to the spinal nerve, to the spinal nerve trunk, usually can result in plexus injuries, such as brachial or lumbar plexus injuries, and it can lead to widespread motor and sensory deficits. Surgical procedures such as laminectomy or discectomy must carefully avoid damaging the spinal nerve trunk to prevent, of course, the post-operative complications. And yeah. And then we have the epineuron, which is the neurolemal sheath that I drew here, but I didn't have enough space to write it down. And this outermost connective tissue surrounding the spinal trunk provides structural support and protecting to the nerve fibers. And usually when compressed or when damaged for some trauma, the epineuron can lead to nerve entrapment syndromes. One of them that I can use as an example here is the carpal tunnel syndrome or sciatica. So because it is important to consult with someone that really know how to do the proper assessment, and yeah, because this person can it's during the assessment that you will have a good diagnosis of what you have actually. Now, compression, I mentioned that the compression or trauma can lead to nerve entrapment, but also inflammatory conditions like vasculitis or peripheral neuropathy can affect the deep neuron, impairing nerve function. What else? Then we have this subarachnoid space, which is this space right here. Okay, subarachnoid space is basically a fluid-filled space between that is located between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater, and this fluid that circulates in this area is basically the cerebrospinal fluid. Diagnostic procedures like a lumbar puncture involve usually assessing the subarachnoid space to collect the cerebrospinal fluid for analysis. Pathological conditions such as meningitis, subarachnoid hemorrhage, or cerebrospinal fluid leaks directly involve the subarachnoid space, okay? So that's important to understand. Yeah, this is what I wanted to share. Again, if you want to watch the full lecture related with this topic, related with the prolongation of the meninges over the roots and trunk of spinal nerve, I highly recommend you to go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and then if you have any question, just drop me a message there, and I will be happy to answer any question. And that's it for today, guys. I really appreciate your time here with me, and yeah, thank you so much, and see you next time.